Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to tools for marketing and analytics, Squarespace is your one-stop shop to run your business online. Ta-da! So the MG is totally black. Now you guys remember that I said in the last MG video that I was rushing to get this done to try to get it done on time. Basically, I was going out of town, doing a really big trip with my family, and I really needed this to be done before we left. So I've been gone for a week, I'm finally back, and this thing looks awesome. Now I already test sanded some spots. I think this primer is gonna work really, really well, and today we're gonna be mounting our fenders, our spoiler. We're gonna be getting everything put together so that we can prime it one more time before having it, I guess, ready for paint, ready for engine swap, ready for something else, something new, something exciting. It's about time. This thing has taken so long, and I'm just ready to move on. So without further ado, let's sand a car. We're gonna take a quick second to talk to you guys about today's sponsor, Squarespace, and share a deal with you guys that they've given to the entire built audience. I've used 3 different website platforms since starting the channel. Squarespace was the first. I've gone to 2 others just to try them out, and I am back at Squarespace. And there's 2 reasons why I really love Squarespace. Daddy. Yes. You wanna sit with me? And there's 2 reasons why I really love Squarespace. The first is the user interface. I'm not really a web designer. I just have never really gotten into it. And a couple of the other platforms I use really cater to web designers. And that's cool, that's good for them, but for me it didn't work. And the thing about Squarespace is it caters to everybody else. So it's very easy to work with your website, it's very easy to change things, it's very easy to integrate your shop, everything is just very easy to understand and do. even if you're not familiar with the web. The other part of Squarespace that I really love is the mobile optimization. Yeah. Most of you guys are watching this right now on a mobile device, and you're likely gonna go to my website on a mobile device as well. So it's super important that the website works well on mobile. Now you can use this link to get a free trial of Squarespace, as well as a 10% discount on a website or domain, which is a great deal. If you're looking to check this out, now's the time. Go check out squarespace.com and set up your website today. Let's get back to the video.
Daddy, why you?
It's empty.
No, it's not.
Huh?
Daddy, why can you? Daddy,
I'm getting ready to
I
do
can
payment.
make it come a bit. I can make some more come in. What? Why you put your called gray? So this could have helped you pull that.
Yeah, that's how I pulled it out of there.
Daddy? Isn't there going to be apples growing on that apple? I can't pull it either. What?
You can't pull it either?
Mm-mm.
Alright, so the car is gray, right?
And the inside looks good. See it? Oh, it's rusty and old.
It's not rusty. I got rid of that rust.
That's rust.
No, that's dust.
Oh, dust.
Yeah, it rhymes.
I want.
What are you doing? Alright, so some things you might have seen me do is this fender, I thought the ride height was uneven because of the way I modified the springs in the rear, but that wasn't the case. It was the fact that this fender was mounted about a ½ inch too low. But anyway, a ½ inch translates to a big difference on your wheel gap. And so the wheel gap over here was looking really bad. Now you can see it looks much better. Now it is high, and I did a little bit of measuring just with my hands. When I'm doing stuff like this, I'll normally use my hands to measure. So I have like 2 fingers and like a, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch. And now we're the same there.
My green nap.
Okay. It was just way too low. So we moved it up. It looks a lot better. But it did create some work for me. I made these little indentions several weeks ago, and they lined up with the body line. Now they don't. So we'll have to remake that. We'll have to remake this one back here. But that's not that big of a deal, and it's going to mean that... What?
It's not all except.
Okay.
Since that could be it. Done working time. And we actually put some flowers on here. Glue, hot glue. Let's put some Daddy, go collect the water flowers and put them on top, and we'll hot glue them.
Why?
Because that's what you do to cars.
Hot glue flowers?
Yes. Onto the cars, so they look even cooler.
It's really good we found that today, because after today, these are going to be permanently mounted to the car. I'm mounting these a different way than I've ever mounted fenders before, and I think it's going to look really good. I think it's going to look really good, and it's going to make these fit really well. And if I ever decide to make copies, it's going to make the copies come out really great as well. So now we got to take the fenders off. We got to make our cuts. So I've got to straighten up some cuts on this front fender. We got to cut our door out. We should probably do that on the car. We got to cut down this little thing right here. We got to get that gone on both sides. I've got to figure out how I'm going to mount this, which is actually why I brought it out here, so I could back up and look at the car to make sure that the fender's level. Right now it's tilted down just a little bit, so we'll fix that, mount it, trace it, trim, and then we can finally mount the fenders. Got a little distracted there. The kids were looking, now they're climbing under the car. That's good, that's good. So it has actually been more than 24 hours since we panel bonded our fenders. I did use a ton of screws here. That's just to make sure that this thing held clamped tightly against the fender. And it is time to pull them out and see if the glue actually worked. I'm gonna bet that it did. All right, there we go. No more sheet metal screws. Those fenders are permanently bonded forever, and they will not come off ever again. Oh, missed two right there. Now the one that's the most important is this one. You guys have been watching since the beginning will know I made this as a two-piece mold, and this seam messed everything up. So this one wanted to kind of sit out this way. Now eventually it will conform around, but there's a lot of tension right here on this. Let's pull these screws out. Yeah, didn't even flinch. That is so good. So you can see now the whole car shakes when you lift up on this, which is just awesome, just awesome. What a product. That's pretty cool. Okay, awesome. So why did we do this? Well, a few reasons. First of all, I've been driving wide-bodied cars, over-fendered cars, whatever you want to call them, for 4 years now. And not once have I had to remove the fender for any reason. If you think about it, like think about any car that you've ever owned. When have you ever had to remove the fender? Except for being damaged some way. So it doesn't make sense to me anymore to have the bolt-on fenders, unless it's just a style thing. Now, if these fit a little bit better, I might have stuck with the bolt-on stuff, but they didn't fit. They fit okay, they didn't fit great, and now that they're glued on, now that they're conformed to the body, they fit really, really well, especially in the rear. Let me show you what I mean. Back here, we had, if you look at some of the older videos, right here, we had a big gap where the fender like bulged outward. Not that far, but it bulges out about right here. And it was just the difference in the Porsche side and some of the modifications I made, just a lot of different kind of stuff that contributed to that. So when bonding it, I started down here and worked my way all the way around and kind of pushed that fold, just like you would with paper or with vinyl or anything else. Pushed that fold back. It adjusted our fender a little bit in terms of where it sat, not much, not anything you can actually see. But what it did is it pulled that out. So now we've got this seam that is just right up against the body, which is just awesome. I've never made a set of fenders that fit as well as these fit. And I think, yeah, our door still opens and closes. We got to trim back a little bit back here, but nothing major. So that feels good. They also feel a lot stronger now that they're bonded. So the stuff I'm using is called fiberglass filler, and it's cool because it's like body filler, but it's structural. So you can see I'm filling all these holes with it, and I don't have to worry about it popping out. Those fibers, it's short strand fibers that will get caught in there and keep it from coming out. Now another thing you can do with it, you can see I made that cut there to kind of get this body line to move when I put this fender on. I don't know if I said this in the video, but I'm sure I did. When I put this fender on, it was too low, which meant those body lines I worked so hard on were pretty much ruined. So when I was reinstalling it, I made a cut, and now you can see I just put filler over that. I cut it, it's mounted, put filler over it, and that's gonna be my new body line. It'll work just fine. Now I could have done that originally, but I wasn't. Originally the plan was not to bond these, it was to bolt them, so that's why we didn't do that the first time. But that will work just fine. I've done that before. There was actually a part on my MR2 fenders that was made 100% out of this stuff, and it was a test to see how long it would last, and it lasted just fine. Now, you can't do big stuff, and it's really heavy, so it's not practical, but it does work in a pinch. Do the same thing here. Just got to cut there, put this stuff on top of it, and we'll use that to shape it.
Hey, what's up? What are you doing that for?
This is sandpaper. It makes everything like smooth.
What color is it turning?
Kind of like a white color.
Can I see?
1 second. Hello? You can come see over here, yeah?
Is there any stickers?
I don't know.
Because you can't see anything?
Look at this. My finger is like covered in this stuff. What's that? You can touch it.
What is it?
It's that stuff that's on the card. Touch it on my finger. Touch right there. Touch it. Come on, touch it. Isn't that weird? It's dry. Peel it off. So you can see now we have this real ugly line where there's Bondo or filler or whatever, and just from me not really trimming this line super clean. So what I'm going to do is take some 40 on a paint stick, and I'm going to kind of run it across this line, clean this up. Now a lot of you guys may be wondering why I'm not just molding this in or smoothing this all in so it looks like one piece. There's the heating and cooling properties of metal and fiberglass are different. So if you bond fiberglass to metal and then try to smooth it in to the metal, that smoothed in portion is going to heat and cool differently than the metal is going to, and through a few seasons of winter and summer it would crack. So I don't want to deal with that, so we're leaving this as two separate pieces, and the 3M is flexible enough that it doesn't crack or whatever. It can move and bend as the difference in flexing happens, so that's fine. So we'll just keep a really clean seam all the way around the edge of all of our fenders. I think it's going to look really good, and it's going to last a long time. And with that, we are ready for primer, which is awesome. I don't know, I think this stuff came out super great. I'm using this new method for body working with the epoxy primer. Not epoxy, is it epoxy? Polyester primer, whatever. You could spray it on really thick, so it allows me to work in 40 and 80 grit rather than like my 120 or 180, 220 that I would normally be working in. And it fills 40 grit scratches. I tested that with the car. The whole point of priming the car first was to see how much I could get away with in body work, and it turns out you can get away with a lot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll this thing back in with the newly permanently attached fenders, and we're gonna prime the whole car once again. Now you notice we're missing the spoiler and the bumper. They both need to be body worked and they're both bolt-on parts, so I'm gonna do that off the car. The spoiler mainly because it's such a big intricate piece. I wanna make sure I get it right, I wanna make sure it's gonna sit level and everything. So I just need to take time with that, and it's gonna be easier to do that off the car than it is on the car. The bumper, I've got a lot of modification I need to make, and I just have to decide if I'm even gonna use it. I think I'm going to, at least for a little bit, but it's also a bolt-on part, so I'm not really worried about it getting primed with the rest of the car. I think the car looks so cool. I love that there's no bolts or anything showing. It's just wide, wide, wide. So I'm gonna be stoked to see it all in dark black. I've got to get a new primer gun, and the paint place is closed right now, so I'm gonna get that in the morning. So for now, this is where I'm gonna leave it, literally right here. And tomorrow we will clean out the shop again, drive it back in there, and spray a coat of that black primer on it, and then just not touch it. I think that's how I'm gonna leave it for a little bit. I'm gonna get a better primer gun, so hopefully it doesn't spit out a bunch of little pieces of primer all over the place. And we'll get to see this thing really as close to the render as it's ever been in terms of just bodywork and stuff. And I'm very, very, very excited. Very excited. But I'm also very tired. If you can't tell, I can't stop looking at it. It just looks so cool. I'm gonna do a quick walk around pre-primer so you guys can check it out and see all the stuff that we did. Yeah, and then I guess we'll cut to priming. It's been a long day. We got some stuff done. Check it out. Anytime I have a really dusty car and I don't want to straight up wash it, this is what I'll do. I just get a rag and some clean water and wipe the whole thing down. You can do this, like, if you do this like 3 times, the water will be clean on the 3rd time. We're not going to do that with this car. I'm going to use some wax remover on the rest of it to kind of finish it off. But I think that it works because the dust is so dry and it absorbs the water and gets stuck to the cloth, and then you just squeeze the cloth out in the bucket, and it really does work. So the benefit is that the cars dry faster. So if I was to like hose this whole thing down, there'd be water in all the cracks, and when you start spraying, it's going to come out and ruin your paint or primer. So this way you don't really run that risk. It's a little bit faster. It's not faster to wash it, but it's faster in terms of like being ready to paint. Just a degreaser. It shouldn't have any grease on it, you know, but always worth going over. This will get the last bit of the dust as well. I think there are a couple spots I need to sand again. All right, we're all taped up and we are ready for primer again. And probably for the last time for a little while at least. So I finally decided in doing all of this what my plan is. What we're going to do is we're going to prime the car flat black and leave it. It's going to stay flat black for a little while. That's going to allow me to be real picky about bodywork. If stuff comes up, something cracks, something has an issue, or I see an issue later that I didn't see this time around, I can fix it, reprime it, and it's just that easy. If I was to go through all the painting process, then it would be a lot bigger of an ordeal to fix little problems. So, with that being said, that's kind of what we're going to do. So it will go flat black, and it'll stay that way for a little while. Now, some of you guys may have noticed like gaps and rough cuts and all that stuff. That'll all get cleaned up post-primer. And the gaps and stuff, we've got solutions for that. So don't worry about that. It's going to be fine. Ready to prime. Once again, same deal. I'm actually going to use the same Harbor Freight gun. I'm going to crank the air up a little bit and see if that helps with my spray pattern, just because I didn't have time to get a nicer gun like I thought I would. Alright, we're good. That is it. This thing looks insane. Now, we'll do one more round of body work on this car before it's like ready for paint. So you're gonna see some imperfections, some low spots, some high spots, all that kind of stuff, normal body working stuff. But this gives us a really solid kind of canvas to start from, and it makes me feel more like I'm working on a normal car with the body work rather than something that's this custom. Everything came out really, really nice. I'm a huge fan of this primer. It's called G2 Featherfill. I'm not sponsored by them. paid full price for it, but it's a great product. So if you're looking for something that can fill really deep scratches and speed up your bodywork a little bit, I definitely recommend it, and we'll get to see what it does long term on this build. I put a link to it in the description below if you are interested in checking it out. I think it's like $70 a gallon, so it's not cheap, but it's not the most expensive primer either. And it really does amazing stuff. So where do we go from here? Well, I'm gonna be body working the spoiler. It does look awesome on there. When you get close to it, there's a few places where it's separated. I've got to re-glass it. I've got to kind of figure out how to make it look real clean where it mates up to the car itself. And then I've actually got a little spacer under there to kind of lift the driver's side up because it's a little bit crooked. I don't know what's going on under there, but basically I'll just have to space it and get it level before we mount it for its final kind of home. Now it is gonna be a bolt-on part, so we'll probably leave it off the car most of the time while I'm body working it, and then we'll bolt it on. I need it to be removable for future mods, so we'll leave that bolt on. The front bumper will be bolt on. Some of you guys may be wondering where the side skirts and the rear bumper are. The side skirts I'm gonna be making later. It's gonna be very simple design, should be very easy. The rear bumper, I haven't decided what I wanna do with that yet, so we'll get to that when we get there. But this is where we're gonna leave it today. It's about to start raining, so I'm gonna pull this thing back in the shop because it might hail today, and I don't want this to just get totally ruined after we just spent so much time on it. I hope you guys are so stoked about this because I am so stoked about this. I was getting kind of discouraged with this build. It's been taking a long time. It's looked the same for a long time, but doing this, the fenders are mounted. This is the new body of the car, and I couldn't be happier with how it came out. It's so awesome. So what I am gonna do starting today, I've already bought my transmission for this car, for the swap transmission. I'm gonna start shopping for an engine and parts to make the engine go fast. And then I think we'll be moving it to the new shop to start the swap process. And what I'm gonna do with that is I like doing mechanical stuff, but it's not my favorite. I like doing bodywork stuff, and I think what I'm gonna do is kind of flip-flop back and forth between this and the Datsun, so I can get some time on the Datsun doing bodywork, be building the wide body for it. And then when I get tired of sanding, I'll swap over to mechanical on this, and I think it's gonna help me stay a lot more sane doing these massive builds. Yeah, man, I hope you guys love this. That's all I got. I'll see you in the next one. Yeah, it's like